Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Wonderful day, isn't it? All right. I am Teresa Cordova, Director of the Great Cities Institute and Marshal of the Day. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 2013 commencement of the College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs at the University of Illinois, Chicago. This morning's music is provided by the Circle Brass Quintet under the direction of Michael Hogg. I kindly ask, if you haven't already, please take a moment to turn off or mute all cell phones or other electronic devices that may detract from the enjoyment. At this time, I present to you the administration of the University and the College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs, our distinguished guests, and the faculty of the college. Please rise. Ladies and gentlemen, candidates for the degree Doctor of Philosophy. Candidates for master's degree in public administration and urban planning and policy. Candidates for the Bachelor of Arts degree in Urban and Public Affairs. Please join us now with the Circle Center Brass Quintet in singing America the Beautiful. Lyrics may be found on the last page of your commencement program.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountains' majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Please be seated.
Good morning and welcome to families, friends, and guests and graduates on this wonderful Mother's Day weekend. I am Albert Schorsch III, Associate Dean of the College and Commencement Marshal. Please welcome Michael A. Pagano, Dean of the College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs.
Thank you. Good morning. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, the President of the University, the Chancellor, and the faculty, staff, and administration of UIC, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our college commencement for the year 2013. Today we celebrate our 5th graduating class of Urban and Public Affairs, our 35th graduating class of Public Administration, and our 39th graduating class of Urban Planning and Policy. To all of our graduates, your spouses, children, parents, partners, families, and friends, along with the faculty, staff, and alumni here today, we are all eager to congratulate you on your accomplishment, and there's no better time than the present. Your achievements are a tribute to your parents, your partners, your families, and your friends, as well as to the people of the state of Illinois, the University of Illinois, UIC, and Cuppa. We salute the guidance and support they have afforded you. And graduates, join us in congratulating those who helped get you here today and share your joy and excitement. Also here today are many of the teachers and scholars who have been instrumental in guiding you along your path of discovery. I want to acknowledge the crucial role of your faculty mentors as well. Among this group are 2 individuals who deserve special recognition as they conclude their posts directing 2 units in Cuppa. Kazuya Kawamura returned to the faculty of the Urban Planning and Policy Department as he concluded his headship of the department. And Karen Mossberger will be leaving the faculty of the Public Administration Department as she steps down from serving as its department head for the last 2 years and as a faculty member for the past 8 years and moves on to a new post at the Arizona State University. We are grateful to them both for their service and leadership. We also have several special guests with us today. Dr. Robert Easter, President of the University of Illinois. Dr. Paula Allen Mears, Chancellor of the University of Illinois at Chicago and Vice President of the University of Illinois. Patrick Fitzgerald, partner of Skadden Arps, Slate, Mayer, and Flom, LLP litigation, and member, University of Illinois Board of Trustees. Dr. Aritza Alfonso, Associate Dean of the Graduate College. Dr. Albert Schorsch III, Associate Dean of Cuppa. Dr. Michael Redding, Executive Associate Chancellor for External and Governmental Relations. And Rebecca McFadden, Distinguished Cuppa Alumna and President of the Cuppa Alumni Association. Thank you for joining us in this celebration. I also want to recognize our Marshal of the Day, Dr. Teresa Cordova. She was chosen as this year's Marshal so we might honor and recognize her in her role as a university leader and scholar and as the director of the Great Cities Institute in Cuppa. Thank you, Professor Cordova. At this time, it's my great pleasure to introduce the President of the University of Illinois, Dr. Robert Easter. After spending his entire nearly 40-year career as a senior administrator and faculty member on the Urbana-Champaign campus, Bob Easter became the University of Illinois' 19th president last July. He joined the faculty after earning his doctorate from the Urbana-Champaign campus in 1976 and later served as department head and eventually dean of the nationally ranked College of Agricultural, Consumer, and Environmental Sciences. Bob then became interim provost, interim chancellor, as well as interim vice chancellor of research for the Urbana campus. Among the many accomplishments, in 2006, he was appointed by President George W. Bush to the Board for International Food and Agricultural Development. Without further ado, please join me in a warm welcome for President Easter.
Thanks, Dean Pagano. You and your colleagues do tremendous work on behalf of the students of our university. And it truly is a pleasure for me to be here today and congratulate our graduates on behalf of the entire University of Illinois family, the nearly 5,000 faculty, 77,000 students, and more than 600,000 who have gone before you and are now alums of the University of Illinois. There are just a handful of special days in one's life, and this is one of those days, and it's a time for all of us to come together and celebrate. Your accomplishment is not trivial. It's a significant accomplishment. Congratulations. The faculty who invested their lives in your education are also celebrating their accomplishment today, as are your families and friends. It's a wonderful occasion. You'll remember it forever, and you absolutely will forget anything that I have to say, I'm sure. So I'll be brief. Just 30% of Americans have earned baccalaureate degrees, and even fewer, about 8%, have earned master's degrees, and only 3% have achieved the doctorate. Your success is an accomplishment that many never realize as they go through their lives. As you leave here, though, I think it's important to remember that quotation that Winston Churchill, a quotation from Marx Winston Churchill made after an early victory in the Second World War. He said, "This isn't the end. It's not even the beginning of the end, but it is the end of the beginning." And in some sense, this truly is the end of the beginning for you. You now close a chapter in your life and you begin another chapter. You reach this point because of your commitment to scholarship, your commitment to hard work, and your passion for what you're doing. And those virtues, those talents will carry you well into the future as you open that new chapter in your life. As I thought about this morning, I was reminded of a book that we used to read to our children, and I don't want to trivialize the occasion. It was by Dr. Seuss, and it had an important message. "Oh, the Places You Will Go" was the name of the book. Maybe a few remember that. And in that little book, he said, "You have brains in your head, you have feet in your shoes, you can steer yourself in any direction you choose. You're on your own now, and you know what you'll do. And you are the guy who will decide where you go. Oh, the places you could go, the things you could do. I'm envious of you. But nothing is guaranteed, and you know that. You stand on the cusp of opportunity. Some of you will grasp opportunity and contribute in one direction, and others will take opportunities to contribute in other ways. You're prepared to make significant contributions to the city, to the state, to the world, literally, and I feel confident that you will. So enjoy your day of celebration. Take time as you go through today to thank all of those that have helped you reach this point, and look forward with great anticipation to what lies before you. Best wishes and congratulations.
Thank you, President Easter, for bringing to us the best doctor in the world, Dr. Seuss. We will now have a special welcome by Chancellor Alan Mears. Chancellor Alan Mears, in collaboration with the faculty, deans, vice chancellors, and the faculty senate, has created interdisciplinary research opportunities for faculty, the Global Certificate Program for undergraduate students, expanded research opportunities and programs for graduate and undergraduate students, including the Supplemental Graduate Fellowship Program, the Discovery Fund for Multidisciplinary Pilot Research Projects, and the Undergraduate Research Awards. She has secured funding for the Advanced Chemical Technology Building, renovations of classrooms, launched a campus beautification campaign, the Cluster Hiring Initiative, and changed the mantra of UIC from access to excellence to access to excellence and success. These are just a few of her accomplishments. Chancellor.
I'll have to make a slight adjustment. Anyway, thank you, Dean Pagano. Thank you so much for your leadership and your hospitality. On behalf of the UIC family, I welcome you to this commencement, 2013 commencement. I want to take a moment to recognize and extend my gratitude to President Easter for joining us to celebrate your graduation today. And I'm honored to welcome our keynote speaker, the very distinguished former U.S. Attorney and newest member of the Board of Trustees of the University of Illinois, Patrick Fitzgerald. I, too, want to express my gratitude to the many people who've supported our graduates in every way during their time at UIC. As your Chancellor, I'm honored to speak to you from the heart on this memorable day, a day of pomp and ceremony, but also a day of personal joy and triumph. Graduates, the educational accomplishments we recognize here today attest to your admirable tenacity over time in pursuing the highest level of intellectual success. To receive the honorific degrees conferred today, it isn't enough to be bright and inventive, although you are both. You also must be persistent. You have worked long hours in classrooms, libraries, computer workstations, and with governmental and community collaborators to achieve today's prestigious degree. Today, your unwavering resolve has paid off. You can take pride in graduating from one of the top-ranked public research universities in the nation, and from a college that plays a very unique role in UIC's missions. The College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs, through its research, programs, institutes, and initiatives, directly impact and transform not only the metropolitan region we know as the Greater Chicago, but also around the nation and around the globe. By the end of the ceremony, this ceremony today, your time at UIC will become an unforgettable part of your past. I hope you will pause to reflect on your years here, remembering the way that this college fostered your mastery of a body of academic and professional knowledge, your analytic skills, your creativity, and your commitment to promote social good and social improvements. I urge you to apply your talent in the service of others, grow as leaders and innovators, work in the real world but stay true to your distinct vision, and infuse your thinking and research with compassion and social awareness. I also encourage you to remain a lifelong member of the UIC family. Join the Alumni Association, visit us often, and keep in touch with your colleagues, mentors, and friends, and let the UIC flame glow steady in your hearts. And finally, as you look to the future, may you always be ready at any moment to sacrifice what you are for what you can become. May every transition be transformative, and may you find as much fulfillment in the years ahead as you feel today. Congratulations to each and every one of you.
Thank you, Chancellor, for those stirring words. Our guest commencement speaker today is Mr. Patrick Fitzgerald. Mr. Fitzgerald is a seasoned trial lawyer and experienced investigator whose practice focuses on internal investigations, government enforcement matters, and civil litigation. Prior to his current position in a private law firm, Mr. Fitzgerald, as most of us will remember, served as a public servant, the U.S. Attorney for the Northern District of Illinois. Appointed in 2001 by President George W. Bush, he was the longest-serving U.S. attorney ever in Chicago. In this capacity, he led numerous high-profile investigations and prosecutions, including the convictions on corruption charges of 2 successive governors of Illinois, George Ryan and Rod Blagojevich, and the fraud conviction of media figure Conrad Black. In addition to a number of other trials, including that of Scooter Libby and the President's Corporate Fraud Task Force and the Gambino Group, Mr. Fitzgerald is also a fellow of the American College of Trial Lawyers. He's received numerous awards and recognition during his more than 20 years in public service, including the Justice John Paul Stevens Award from the Chicago Bar Association, the Cox Coleman Richardson Award for Distinguished Public Service from Harvard Law School, the Attorney General's Award for Distinguished Service, the Stimson Medal from the Association of the Bar of the City of New York, and the Attorney General's Award for Exceptional Service. Mr. Fitzgerald was also named Lawyer of the Year by the National Law Journal, and prior to joining the U.S. Department of Justice, he was in private practice in New York. I am deeply honored that Mr. Fitzgerald accepted our invitation to speak today. Welcome.
Thank you all. President Easter, Chancellor Mears, Dean Pagano, faculty members, family, friends, but most importantly, today's graduates. I'm really honored and grateful to be able to speak to you today. And I'd like to just have a brief chat with you about 3 things that occur to me as I sit here looking out at folks wearing graduation regalia, having graduated from my college and law school in the 1980s, when some of you were probably not even born, and try to think of how I think about things differently. And what I'd like to do is not give a traditional commencement speech, which I sometimes view as the traditional inspiration by guilt, which is to point out that, when I was a young boy, I would live in a log cabin, and I would walk barefoot 2 miles uphill to and from school, and just to imply to you that you have it all so much easier than I had it and my generation had it. And then to let you know that we had such a clear vision of what we all wanted to do, so that clearly you should have such a vision. And to let you know that all the hard work has been done. We've figured out the atom, you have to figure out the details, and leave you with the notion that after all we went through and all the clear vision we have, that, really, you just got to walk down the path and it'll be an easy path for you. And the reason I don't like to inspire by guilt, because it's a pretty sort of negative way of doing it, but the other problem is the facts would get in the way of that. And so I'd like to talk to you today about how things really are different in the modern world. So, all right. So first of all, you guys have it harder than I did. And I don't claim to have had it easy. I grew up in Brooklyn, and I came from working class parents of immigrants, and I'm sure many of you did as well. But the reality is that in many generations, we can each say that the generation before had it harder. But you're graduating at difficult times. There's a Chinese proverb, sometimes called a Chinese curse, that says, "May you live in interesting times." And I always love that expression because it's such a positive view of people under stress. So when you see people in a crisis and they're wrestling with something and there are problems and it gets just to be a real hairy problem, they'll sometimes sit around and say, "Remember that proverb, may we live in interesting times." Because interesting times is a euphemism for challenging times. Well, no one wants the world to have interesting times. No one wants us to have the challenges we all face, but they are there. And if there are going to be interesting times, and there are going to be challenging times, we need people like you to step up and engage. Not to sit back and describe how challenging it is, not to sit back and look at what others do and then criticize what others do because it's different than what you thought should have been done, but to do what you all are doing, which is to engage with those issues, step up to the plate, take positions, and make decisions. And when you look out at the world and you see the economy worldwide being under stress, most economies are very uncertain. The ones that are certain often are certainly in trouble. When you look at our federal government, it's really remarkable that we faced a situation where the government can't pay its bills without a sequester and furloughs. Those are not good times. And when you look internally at Illinois and look at the challenges we face financially, with huge holes for things we've paid for or haven't paid for but have committed to in the past, and how they affect everything from education to schools, to hospitals, to the systems, to housing, to fairness and opportunity, those are real challenges. That's true in the city. It's true nationwide. And you look at the problems of our cities and how the plague of gangs, guns, and violence takes an awful toll day to day. You look at the challenges of education, fixing schools from pre-kindergarten to grammar school, universities facing the challenges of how to meet a new world with different finances, different costs. I say this Believe me, I'm not trying to depress you. I'm saying this to just state the stark reality that you're not graduating in easy times. You're graduating in interesting times. And if they're going to be out there, we need people like you who are willing to step up, to engage the issues, and make a difference. And one of the things that I find particularly difficult about modern times is just when we need public service and public servants more, they seem to be more or less taken more for granted and sometimes routinely criticized. Nothing would get me angrier than to watch TV and turn on a channel at random and hear about the financial crisis. And 10 years ago, no politician would have thought it was politically smart to think that it's a good thing if public servants get laid off, good thing if public servants get furloughed. And when you start to see people on TV taking cheap shots at people who work in public service, who work for less money than they could otherwise make to make a difference, that would get me angry. And so you are actually stepping into a situation where you're needed more than ever, but at times not appreciated as much as ever. When I grew up, sometimes I used to watch Western movies, and you'd find this crisis arise where somebody needed help, and then you'd hear some bugles in the distance, and the cavalry would always come to the rescue. Well, we've set this movie for you. We've got the whole crisis set, and now today is sort of the bugle call, and I don't see a horse in the room, but I do see a cavalry because you are really willing to step up and make a difference. So my short point is, don't feel like you're the generation who has it easier than the last generation. You're facing tough times, and I admire greatly your willingness to step up and engage. My second point, which is quite related and will be briefer, is we haven't figured out all the issues. We haven't sort of split the atom and left the details to you. Sadly, collectively, my generation has left a lot of problems for you to fix that we should have done. And without pointing blame at any individuals, because lots of individuals wanted to change this, lots of people are out there fighting. Collectively, lots of the challenges that faced our country, our state, our city in the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s and 90s have been fixed, but a lot remain. And we need people with your energy, your commitment, your creativity to walk in the face of that, not with an attitude of, oh, well, that's the way it is, but, oh, well, I'm here to change it. And that's the power of belief. And if every one of you walks out of here not looking with a negative attitude as to things that remain from the past, but with a determination that it's time to engage, time to step up to the plate and say, it doesn't have to be this way. We will be such a better city, such a better state, such a better society. So I will then turn to my last point, which is to let you know that to the extent that a speaker is supposed to let you know about their vision back when they were in college or back when they were in graduate school about how they saw things happen, to let you know that you should sharpen your vision. My flashlight was broken when I was getting out of college or law school as to public service. I ended up serving for 24 years in the government. If you had asked me in the middle of law school how long I would serve in government, I don't think I would have predicted 24 minutes. And part of that was I had a very shallow view of public service. I thought it was great. It was a great thing that somebody else should do. I looked out and I would see people who did public service, and I would think of Mother Teresa, and she'd be off in India saving people, being the saint that she was, and think that's absolutely terrific. But my parents didn't go to college. I got to go to college, so I need to go do what I need to do for myself. And if I ever hit the lottery, I can go off and do public service. And I think I confused public service as being the exact equivalent of sacrifice. And public service does involve sacrifice. It involves your sacrifice sometimes to work harder than you might otherwise do, to receive less in monetary income than you otherwise might do. It involves sacrifice for your family when they see you not around as much as they would like to see you. But the idea of public service as sacrifice is such a distortion of the reality. When I started working in government, I was just inspired by the people I work with, people around me, whether they be law enforcement agents or police officers or fellow prosecutors, or seeing public defenders on the other side of the courtroom, all of whom were committed to a mission. And to be around that was incredibly rewarding and enriching. I used to say it was enriching in a way that just wasn't taxable, which is a nice thing. But one of the other things I saw, as I got deeper and deeper into law enforcement, I appreciated how much bigger our problems were that law enforcement was not the solution to. And some of the most inspiring things would be to work with police officers on the south side or the west side and see the community groups that were out making a difference, trying to make people's lives better, change their opportunities, change the world so people didn't turn to crime. They had opportunities to do differently. And to me, I feel dumb now looking back at how little credit I gave public service as being so enriching for the people who do it. And as much as you sacrifice, you get way more out of it. So as I sit here looking at all of you, who by coming to this school, and I got to tell you, I've gone to a lot of schools, and I've given the speech on public service and why it is that people ought to open their minds to the opportunity of doing it full-time for a while or doing it part-time while they do another job. It is a pleasure to preach to the choir and come to a school where you all made that choice before you came in. So as I sit out here and look at all of you, I just want to say I respect profoundly what it is that you all have accomplished. I respect profoundly that you are the generation that will step up and fix the problems that my generation has failed to engage fully and completely. And I want to say I'm not only do I admire you, I'm incredibly jealous of your opportunity to work with each other and make a difference. And lastly, as a resident of the city and a father of 2 young boys, I realize they'll grow up in a world that'll be shaped by the policies of our city and our state and our government. And I'm grateful to all of you and your families behind you who are willing to take your time, your talent, and energies to make a difference. So simply put, thank you.
True public servant. On behalf of the college, I present you with a book, a 100-year-old book, The Plan of Chicago. Oh, great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Will Graduate College Associate Dean Aixa Alfonso please come forward and present the candidates for graduate degrees to the President of the University of Illinois.
President Easter, upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the vote of the Senate, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Candidates, please rise.
Candidates, upon these recommendations and by the authority of the Board of Trustees, I confer upon each of you the Doctor of Philosophy degree for which you have been presented and admit you to all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of that degree. Congratulations.
Candidates for master's degrees, please rise. President Easter, upon the recommendation of the faculty and by vote of the Senate, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degrees of Masters of Public Administration and Master of Urban Planning and Policy, which are granted by the Graduate College.
Thank you. Upon these recommendations and by the authority of the Board of Trustees, I confer upon each of you the master's degree for which you have been presented and admit you to all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of that degree. Congratulations.
Please sit down.
Dr. Michael A. Pagano, Dean of the College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs, will present candidates for Bachelor of Arts degree in Urban and Public Affairs.
Candidates for the bachelor's degree, please rise. President Easter, upon the recommendation of the faculty and by vote of the Senate, I have the honor to present these candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Urban and Public Affairs.
Thank you, Dean Pagano. Upon these recommendations and by the authority of the Board of Trustees, I confer upon each of you the Bachelor of Arts degree for which you have been presented and admit to you all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities of that degree. Congratulations.
Would all the graduates please rise? As tradition calls for, you now may move your tassels to the left side, indicating your status as a graduate. Congratulations. Please be seated.
Recipients of the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, please come forward when your name is called onto the platform and face the audience. Faculty advisors will now present the hood that symbolizes your new academic status. Michael DiLorenzo, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Public Administration. His dissertation is entitled FEMA and the Merger with DHS. Did it impact FEMA's autonomy and performance? Angela Yutt, candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Public Administration. Her dissertation is titled, The Changing Nature of Government in the Public Research University, Untangling the Web of Faculty Roles. Graduates with master's degrees in public administration, please stand and come forward to be recognized. Asad Akel. Ayman Bari. Lamont D. Bryant. Ashley B. Butler. Leon Kenneth Carter. Adrian Chavez. Patrick Quinn Coogan. Moriba Diallo. James Eisenhower. John W. Frizzell. Blake A. Garcia. Nilton Garcia. Catherine Ann Gagan. Patrick Joseph Gibson. Kyle J. Gorey. Andrew Richard Guerrero. LaDonna Patrice Holmes. Steve Horvath. Caitlin M. Humrickhouse. Sean Jacobs. Kenneth Jaramillo. Amrad Rashad Johnson. Sheila Kozwada. Paulo Laorden. Pong Pong Lee. Karen Mabry. Lindsay Nicole Maughan. Maria Nava. Helen Hannah Nissan. Michael A. Pijan. David John Rowan. Jennifer Marie Reckwert. Robert Eric Sabo. Monica Schumpert. Tracy L. Stager. Clay A. Webb. Zachary Weber. Stephanie Wilding. Kathy Aba Shong. Allison R. Scrutchins. Ashley Michelle Patterson. Graduates with master's degrees in urban planning and policy, please stand and come forward to be recognized. Laura Armgart. Helen Christina Badish. Brittany Bajent. Amy B. Bashiti. Stephen H. Broadwell. Brianna Marie Seglia. Daniel W. Dickerson. Lissa Domaraki. Jason Duba. Benjamin James Fenton. Lisette M. Flores. Erwing Gama. Anthony Michael Grande. Sarah Ann Hagee. Joshua Adam Hahn. Emma Katrine Heemskirk. Zoe Elizabeth Hydorn. Timothy Gardner Huff. Michael David Kaplan. Zachary A. Kautsky. Zalong Lee. Jeff Lloyd. Douglas Macy. Shelley T. Pittman. Ryan Schmidt. Angela B. Sims. Stephanie Ann Smith. Ian Michael Tobin. Aisha Turner. Jessica Patrice Page Turner. Brandon Gordon White. Jennifer Wickman. Graduates with a Bachelor of Arts degree in Urban and Public Affairs, please stand and come forward to be recognized. Martha Aguila. Brian Jeffrey Almdale. Daniel Bezanovich. Alexander Javier Campillo. Yale D. Cho. Michael Crino. Benito Garcia. Aaron L. Grimes. Natalie Hamilton. Elena R. Herrera. Ross Hubble. Hannah E. Jones. Ashley Tierra King. Lisa I. Kudo. Carlos Lopez. Jason Miranda. Anthony Michael Molina. Maggie J. Moore. Timor. Eduardo Munoz. Ruby Rodriguez. Caitlin J. Saro. Carrie Lynn Timmers. John E. Tuzak. Alma C. Zamudio. Jonathan Chance.
Please be seated. To each of you graduates, I extend my personal congratulations and that of the faculty of the College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs. Many of you have demonstrated exceptional academic achievement or leadership as students, and now I'd like to recognize the recipients of the 2013 Public Administration Student Award and the Urban Planning and Policy Student Award. These students were selected based on superior academic achievement, and I ask each of them to stand and be recognized. Milton Garcia Milton is the recipient of the Public Administration Outstanding Graduate Student Award, and Jen Wickman. Jen is the recipient of the Urban Planning and Policy Award. Thank you. In addition to these award recipients, I would like each of the following students to stand and be recognized for exceptional academic achievement as designated by the gold, silver, and bronze cords they wear. Honors so designated as summa cum laude, Yale Cho, and Karen Lynn Timmers. Magna cum laude, Luis Andres Andrade, Kara Kamp, and April Mueller. Please stand. And cum laude, Martha Aguila and Michael Piotr Bulars, Hannah Jones, Maggie Moore, John Tuzak, and Alma Zamudio. Thank you. In addition to these award recipients, it gives me great pleasure this year to present Cuppa's third Silver Circle Award recipient. Great teachers are the heart of a great university. UIC recognizes and honors its outstanding teachers in several ways, and today one of Cuppa's most excellent teachers is being honored with the university's Silver Circle Award for Teaching Excellence, as selected by a vote of all of the commencing undergraduate students in the university. Will Valerie Werner please come forward to receive UIC's Silver Circle Award? Thank you. As many of you know, Valerie directed our undergraduate program until this past January when she went to the Adler School of Psychiatry. Thank you so much, Valerie. I now have the great pleasure of introducing the first of our three 2013 student commencement speakers. It's a tradition that we've honored now for the past many years. The first is Carlos Lopez. Carlos is president of the Students of Urban and Public Affairs, or SUPA, and an honors college student at UIC. He's also a former two-term AmeriCorps Vista member. He spent his first term as service learning coordinator at the College of DuPage and his second term at the mayor's office at the city of Chicago. More recently, he has interned with the Youth Service Project and the Latino United Community Housing Association, both in Humboldt Park. He spent a summer in Washington, D.C., interning for the Center for Education Reform while studying economics at Georgetown. Carlos is dedicated to connecting his studies to the real world. Carlos?
Thank you. I'd just like to take this moment to, first of all, express my gratitude for this moment. This moment just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. This moment, it's a profound choice. More importantly, it's the result of the collective energy of ourselves, the people that we love, and the people that we let in our lives. It's a result of the sacrifices, like people like my mother and my Aunt Teresa and colleagues. And so I guess since I just graduated, I could just tell you a bit about what I've learned. As urban planners, as public servants, as practitioners of academic SimCity, which is how I sometimes explain my major, we're charged with the task of viewing problems and solving problems objectively, yet by applying ideals. So when we operate through the realm of ideals, we operate through the realm of aesthetics, basically, what is good and beautiful. So what I've learned through these past, actually 8 years that it's taken me to graduate, is that, thank you, is to embrace aesthetic ideals such as compassion and love in my work, while I'm doing my work, intrinsically and authentically. Again, colleagues, I'd like to take this moment to express my gratitude, and it's an honor to share this moment with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos. Our next speaker, Caitlin Hummerkaus from Public Administration, received her undergraduate degrees in International Business and Spanish at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where she served as the president of philanthropy for her sorority Alpha Gamma Delta. During her time at UIUC, she was also involved with International Illini, an organization that organizes international service trips. As part of this organization, she spent 2 weeks in Guatemala, where she worked on a sustainable coffee farm and served as a translator for a traveling medical organization. Caitlin also spent a semester living with a host family and studying in Costa Rica. After working for a year doing marketing for a small company, Caitlin joined the MPA program at UIC, where she concentrated in financial management. She currently works as a research assistant for the Certificate in Nonprofit Management at the UIC Great Cities Institute. Additionally, she is an intern at Baker, Tilly, Virchow, and Krause on their state and local government consulting team. Caitlin has accepted an offer from Baker, Tilly, Virchow, and Krause and will be working as a consultant on their state and local government team upon graduation. Caitlin?
Need to lower this a little bit. First of all, I want to say congratulations to all of you. I know of the late nights, coffee, and stress-induced meltdowns it took for us all to get to this day. I've had the opportunity to get to know so many of you, and I couldn't be more proud to be graduating with a class of such hardworking, smart, and energetic public servants. The first thing I did after the department asked me to give this speech was to Google how to write a graduation speech. And to be honest, I added "that doesn't stink" onto the end of that statement. The top 2 tips I came across were to add in some humor and to add in some statements that inspire new graduates to be hopeful about the future. It was exactly what I had feared. I would have to pretend to be funny for 4 minutes, and I would have to fall into the trap of giving the cliche, idealistic graduation speech that says we're all going to graduate, get jobs, and change the world for the better. But after I gave it some thought, I realized that if I talked about things that I'm sincerely hopeful for, I might surpass that cliched, idealistic marker and make some points that are not only genuine, but realistically achievable for all of us. That being said, I have two hopes for the 2013 UIC MPA class. The first is that we make a dent in the stereotypes that hang over the public sector workforce like a dark cloud. We've all heard them from our friends, our parents, and we've even talked about in our classes the anger, resentment, and distrust that some people feel towards public servants. We know the stereotypes that we are lazy, inefficient, and that we just accept the status quo, never striving towards innovation or better service delivery. Well, if any of you have ever had the pleasure of having a conversation with our classmates Dave Rowan or Pat Gibson, you know that they are two public sector employees who will never, and I mean never, stop questioning the status quo. But I hope that all of us can follow in their footsteps, that we continuously look for ways to deliver better services to the citizens and the communities that we serve, and that we never settle for something just because that's the way it's always been done. If we commit to these principles, perhaps we can slowly start to change the image of public servants to be closer to the image of passion, energy, and intellect that I see in front of me today. My second hope is that we become actively engaged alumni of Cuppa. A wise person and a graduate of this program once said to me, "Stay close to your classmates in the MPA program because they are the only ones who will want to talk to you about what you saw on C-SPAN that morning or the article that you just read on participatory budgeting." We are a small community with a unique passion for all things government and nonprofit. And for the health of our professional field, it is important that we continue to cultivate the personal and professional relationships that we've begun to form during our time here at Cuppa. It is important that we stay connected to each other, but also that we stay involved with the college and the students currently in the program. I hope that we can all commit to being mentors, advice givers, and door openers for the next wave of Cuppa graduates, and for each other, and in doing so that we continue to increase the professionalization of the sector that we can now call our own. Congratulations once again, and I hope to see you all very soon.
Thank you very much, Caitlin. We are also honored to have Amy Bartlett-Bashiti from an urban planning and policy graduate. Amy is a native of Atlanta, but apart from living for a short time in Philadelphia, has called Chicago home since 2001. Amy received her bachelor's degree from Newcomb College of Tulane University, and her work in real estate in Chicago during the condo boom led her to investigate the field of urban planning. Amy loves big cities and hopes to put her MUP degree to good use, making this city better for all its residents. She and her husband, Sam, plan to stay in Chicago and raise their children as L-writing city dwellers.
Thank you, Dean Pagano. To UIC's College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs, class of 2013, and to the parents, friends, partners, children, and professors who cared enough about us to sit through a commencement ceremony. To those of us born before 1980, and to those of us born after. To those of us just entering the real world, and to those of us who were there before, looked around, and decided a graduate degree or life in academia was the saner option. Thank you for being here this morning. Just to reassure everyone, there is life after graduation. Sometimes there's life before graduation, but hopefully not today. To quote Dr. Seuss in the Lorax, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. We care a whole awful lot, and we entered this program because we saw an opportunity to create change for the better. This is a college in which we learn the process of creating change through public service. So we, as graduates, will go on to jobs in government or regional planning agencies. Some of us will work in the public sector, while others will realize that the private sector pays better. And we will put our new degree on our resume and hopefully put it to good use in whatever comes next. We may be tempted to use our new degree as a blunt instrument, but public service is a process, sometimes a slow and painful way of getting the good things done. Hitting people over the head with our degree won't always work, and we will have to resort to the process to make the change we seek. Real change comes in fits and starts, in small increments, and sometimes, if we're really lucky, in big sudden waves. It requires speaking and listening. It requires the ability to bring community members together so they can listen to each other. It requires the ability to mediate between sometimes competing visions of change. Most of all, it requires patience with the process and with the public. Fortunately, as new graduates, we have a long time horizon. To paraphrase one of our urban planning professors, the plan is not the point is the process. So I suppose that this ceremony, this diploma, is not the point. The point is the process we went through, individually and together, to earn it. Now it will be our responsibility to shepherd others through the process and to create the change we want to see. We will teach others the process through further research and academic work. We will lead members of the public in the process of creating a better quality of life for themselves and their communities. Through these processes, we will create plans for new housing and new transportation options and new ideas. Most of all, we will remember that plans change, but that the plan is not the point. As the Lorax says, it's not about what it is, it's about what it can become. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amy. Commencement implies a transition in the life of a student, a transition from being a student to that of being an alumnus or an alumna, a member of an ever-growing constituency of Cuppa alumni who play an important role in furthering educational opportunities for others and in advancing the mission and objectives of the college and the university. Cuppa is indeed fortunate to have many committed alumni. This morning, one of these remarkable graduates, Rebecca McFadden, the president of the Cuppa Alumni Association, is with us. Rebecca received her Bachelor of Arts in Music from UIC in 1997 and her MPA from UIC in 2002. She's originally from Elmhurst, Illinois, and played and taught oboe throughout her collegiate years before focusing on arts administration. Upon graduation in 1997, she worked in the UIC Department of Performing Arts for 5 years, and now she's worked for the Chicago Symphony Orchestra for the last 8 years as production manager, coordinating lights, sound, and technical details for many different symphony, jazz, and special concerts. She currently lives in Naperville and has served as president of the Cuppa Alumni Association since 2011. Rebecca.
Thank you, Dean Pagano, and congratulations to all of you, all of the graduates here. And I know what an achievement it is to get here today. I remember my own graduation, and I just am profoundly impressed by the numbers here and the dedication you've all shown to public service. My name is Rebecca McFadden, and I am the president of the Alumni Board at the College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs. I'm honored to be with you today and celebrate this wonderful occasion with all of you. You've worked extremely hard to get to graduation today, and I congratulate you on a terrific accomplishment of completing your degree. I remember my student days well, and some days it seemed like it was never going to end. There are endless papers, classes, and group projects, and then it all does end, and you get your degree, and you think, wow, I actually finished that. That's amazing. I have my degree at home, hanging up where I can see it, so I hope you put yours in a prominent place where you can look at it, think back, and remember all that you went through to get it. Well, one wise person told me that wherever you go in life, whatever jobs, or promotions or demotions come your way, your education is a constant. It's an achievement that can never be taken away. I've never forgotten that, and I remember that comment often as I look at my diploma. As you pass the podium, you might be thinking that you're done with college life, or at least taking a break from it for a little while, or perhaps you're moving on to another degree. Regardless, you don't have to let this be the end of the road for your involvement with UIC. You can still be an active participant at UIC and the Alumni Association. I know some of you must want to take a break from being on campus, but please, whether it's now or later, consider joining the Alumni Association. I was happy to hear from the chancellor and one of your student speakers that connecting with one another is very important, and this is one great way to do that. I have a job that is full-time plus, and even though I was already very busy a couple of years after graduation, I joined the Alumni Association, and I'm so glad that I did. There are so many benefits of joining. To name a few, you will build a professional and personal network of classmates and people who went to school before and after you, who have similar career paths and interests. Building your network is so important, whether you are currently looking for a job or will be in the future. You have the opportunity to learn from professional development events, which can inform you and further connect you to members of our community and important people in our world. You get to connect with students and support them through some resume workshops and interview skills. Perhaps some of you already know of the workshops that we've held from your own student days coming through the program. This is your chance to pay it forward and help the next group of students. We also have purely social events as well, where you can just get to know each other and fellow board members. And finally, we are a very active board, the most active alumni board on campus, so you are guaranteed to find an activity or a committee that's working on something that is of interest to you. These are just some of the advantages of joining the Alumni Association, whether I see you now or in a year or two or several years down the road. I hope you will join us. Don't be surprised if you hear from someone recruiting you to participate. We'd love to have your energy, your enthusiasm, your ideas. Regardless of how you want to be involved at UIC, the alums are here as a resource for you. Let us know what you're doing, and please keep in touch. Finally, I welcome you to the ranks of the alums. Congratulations again on your achievement today, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Rebecca. Now that you are all alumni, there is a meeting on Monday evening if you would like to attend. By now, it's estimated that each of you has entered and exited Cuppa Hall approximately 1,453 times, I counted. And every one of those entrances and egresses was under a canopy, a protective cover, so that in the event the bricks fell off the building, you'd be protected. You're welcome. By now, you've probably become inured to the constant bombardment from the faculty, the news media, the university administration, and everyone else that the state of Illinois' investment in its basic infrastructure leaves a lot to be desired. Bridges and highways are in desperate need of repair. University buildings and equipment need to be replaced. And often, as an afterthought, you might hear someone lament that public investment in higher education continues on a downward trajectory at the same time that you also know income earnings and employment opportunities are significantly greater for those with an undergraduate and graduate degree. We know, both instinctively and empirically, that our future, the future that you are thinking about for yourself and the future that you are thinking about for your community, rests on the decisions we make today. We are also certain that without doubt, we reach for our future. By now, you know that the small space of this campus pales in comparison to the large reach of your actions, your ideas, and your beliefs. As alumni of this great college, you have ever looked outward, become involved in your neighborhoods, your communities, with the groups and organizations that made a difference in raising human dignity and the quality of life. While universities around the globe reach for the future, this college and you, its alumni, engage the present to shape the future. Cuppa's reach should always exceed its grasp, just as your reach has always exceeded your grasp. You and your friends, partners, and family, you and your bank, you and the state of Illinois, invested in your education so that you can shape today and guide us toward a better tomorrow. And today we celebrate an accomplishment, an investment in human capital, in people, and in our future. You are the beneficiaries of enlightened investment in the future of the metropolitan region, the state, and the world. And your sacrifices, foregone consumption as we might call it, or delayed gratification, all for the good, not just for your own personal and professional benefit, but for the benefit of the greater good, the community, the public, and your ideals. By now, you know that the world you would have left yourselves had you been in positions of leadership 20 or 40 years ago would not resemble the world today. You would not have kicked the can down the road. You would not have invested in the public good, in the community, while overindulging in private goods and ego satisfaction. So when you return to campus, which you're invited to do often, you'll enter a building free of canopies, we hope. But you always know that when the nameplate says Cuppa, you'll be entering the domain in which you helped us envision our reach, and which reaching for the ideals of social justice and the public good are more than theoretical. They become the stuff that motivates all of us to serve the community, your community, this place, today and tomorrow. On behalf of the faculty and staff of this extraordinary college that reaches out to the community, I congratulate you, the alumni, and invite all of you to remain connected with each other and with us. The best is yet to come. Sí, se puede. Thank you, congratulations, and oh, the places you will go.
At the conclusion of this morning's ceremony, all graduates and their guests are invited to join Dean Pagano and the college faculty at a reception in the room immediate to the east. Graduates will exit the main floor by rows in the same manner they entered after the platform party has retired from the stage. Professors Mossberg and Winkle, please lift the banners and lead the platform party. The 2013 commencement of the College of Urban Planning and Public Affairs at the University of Illinois at Chicago is now adjourned. That's all right, you can catch up over there.